Welcome to Mustang Arena for Varsity Volleyball competition. Please welcome our guests from Cypress Creek High School. They are the Bears. And they'll be taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Let's meet the teams. We'll begin with our guests from Cypress Creek, and we'll start with their reserves. Number 3, Kristals Zelaya. Number 25, Alexis Perlinsky. Number 34, Jasmine Rivera. Number 11, Gabriela Romero. Number 5, Janae Malabranch. And number 20, Candela Iriarte. The starting lineup for the Bears. Starting libero is freshman number 7 in service order. Serving first is freshman setter number 9, Sarah Garcia. Second in the rotation for the Bears, a senior outside hitter, number 2, Natalie Skopalova. Third in the rotation for Cypress Creek, senior middle hitter, number 32, Bianca Gerena. Fourth in the rotation for Cypress Creek, sophomore right side hitter, number 8, Charlie Williams. Serving fifth for the Bears, junior outside hitter, number 10, Alina Ayala. And finally for Cypress Creek, serving sixth, junior middle hitter, number 18, Jasmine Lopez. The head coach of the Bears is Aisha Nichols, with assistant coaches Malvin Varela, Gustavo Silva, and Mariano Ayala. And now let's meet your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Starting with their reserves, number 2, Maddie Holmes. And number 14, Cassidy Palmer. The starting libero is 5'6" senior, number 1, Emily Harris. And starting on the court, serving first for the Mustangs, 5'6" senior defensive specialist and setter, number 8, Eliza Calvo Garcia. Second in the rotation for the Mustangs is 5'4" junior outside hitter, number 5, Denia Jackson. Third in the rotation for the Mustangs, 5'8" senior middle and right side hitter, number 7, Abiana Hall. Serving fourth for the Mustangs, 5'5" senior right side and middle hitter, number 0, Chastity Rosario. Serving fifth in the rotation for the Mustangs, 5'4" senior libero and defensive specialist, number 4, Jenna J-Pack. And finally for the Mustangs, serving sixth, 5'6" senior outside hitter, number 10, Juliet Rodriguez. The head coach of the Mustangs is Heather Lorenz, with assistant coach Taylor Allard. The officials for tonight's game are from the Florida Professional Officials here in Orlando. We thank them for their dedicated service to our high school athletic programs and join them along with our participating schools, reminding everyone to make great sportsmanship a part of this and every athletic competition. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please stand as we honor America with the singing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glow, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Once again, we welcome those of you who are here in the arena, joining us at Mustang Arena for varsity volleyball competition. We want to let you know that if you have friends and family back home on the other side of Orlando, elsewhere in Apopka, or anywhere in the world, they can tune in and watch live tonight on our YouTube channel, Wekiva Sports. Just open up the YouTube app on your favorite computer, smart TV, or mobile device and search for Wekiva Sports. You can also catch a simulcast of tonight's game on the NFHS network if you are a member there as well. Again, YouTube, Wekiva Sports, or on the NFHS network, search for either Wekiva or Cypress Creek. And for those of you who have done just that, we want to welcome you to Mustang Arena. My name is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs and Sports Information Director here at Wekiva High School. I am joined tonight, as I am every night when we have our home events for these past 15 seasons, by Neil Fisher of the Apopka Chief, and we'll be taking you through tonight's contest.
And once again, Mark, an excellent job. That was Mark you heard singing the Star Spangled Banner in addition to the public addressing duty. And as we get ready to kick off tonight, or actually I guess serve off, Wekiva comes in 1-6. They've lost 6 in a row. They opened the season with a 5-set come-from-behind victory against Evans. They have lost 6 in a row since then. Cypress Creek 6-1. They won their first 6 games and have lost their last game against Windermere Prep. However, I would like to point out, Mark, we've talked about this throughout the course of the season.
The Mustangs have the opening service of set number 1, leading the rotation, Eliza Calvo Garcia.
Despite that 6-game losing streak, Wekiva is a much improved team. They are losing by much closer scores. 3 of the matches have gone 5 sets. Last year they only had 2 sets in which 2 of their losses went more than 3 sets.
Service to the Bears, leading the rotation for Cypress Creek, number 9, Sarah Garcia. So yeah, Neil, you're absolutely right. Wekiva returns all but one of their varsity team from last year. That first server you saw there, Eliza Calvo Garcia, the only addition to the varsity team this year. So a lot of consistency year to year, and also a lot more stability, not just from Wekiva, but for every team in the county. Beautiful block attempt there by Abiana Hall. The Bears are ready for it, and now Hall with an attack error will donate a free point to the Bears' cause. But as I had started to say a moment ago, last season, of course, was only about a 4-week season in total. It started 4 weeks late. It cut the season literally in half. Wekiva got more games in, frankly, than most teams did last year, thanks to their participation in some tournaments. But it was rough going because of the hand that they were dealt. And now, as we get an attack error from Jenna Japak that opens up the Bears to a 3-0 lead, Wekiva now has that consistency. Coach Lorenz, now in her second year with the program, has had a chance to coach these players through 2 seasons now, to do some off-season conditioning with them, to gel the team, get them communicating better, and while they don't yet have the numbers posted on the record to really back up the change in overall atmosphere. It certainly has been a much more fun team to watch this year compared to last year. We've seen a lot less desperation as service returns to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation, number 5, Denia Jackson.
Yeah, much more consistency, much more entertaining as well as Jackson puts the ball in play. I also want to point out that, as you mentioned, Mark, 9 players returned from last season, 10 seniors on this team. But remember, last year was the first year that all those seniors were playing varsity. So, yes, they do have a lot more experience than they had at the beginning of last year, but still, they only have about 1.5 years of experience at the varsity level. 3-2 now.
Back row attack is called against the Mustangs. Service back to the Bears. And we're going to get a challenge here by Jenna Japak, who's the designated team captain for the Mustangs.
Yeah, Japak, the outside hitter, the number 5.
I'm not quite certain where the back row attack calls from, because that was Chastity Rosario that hit that, and she's on the front row. So
the serving lineup for Wekiva, number 8, Eliza Calvo Garcia. Of course, as Mark mentioned, she is a senior, but she did not play on last year's team. She's a student at Orlando Science High School. They do not have a volleyball team, so Wekiva is certainly happy to have her. And as you saw, the ref says, nope, it is Wekiva's point, 3-2.
The original ruling is overturned. The kill goes to Chastity Rosario, and service remains with Denia Jackson.
So Denia Jackson, as Mark just said, serving. She's number 2. Number 3, Abiana Hall. Number 4, Chastity Rosario. Number 5, Jenna Japak. And number 6, Juliet Rodriguez. As now Cypress Creek takes the point back, 4-2.
Bears block by Bianca Jarena. Service returns to Cypress Creek. Next in their rotation, number 2, Natalie Skopalova.
And for Cypress Creek, Sarah Garcia led off. Skopalova is number 2, who just served and scored the ace. Number 3, Garina. Number 4, Williams. Number 5, Ayala. And number 6, Lopez. So 5-2 the score. Wekiva looking at a deficit here early, but still they've shown some fight. They've shown some good plays. And unfortunately, an unforced error there. The ball slapped into the net. And so Skopalova, the outside hitter, will go back to work with the 6-2 lead. Puts that ball along the right sideline. Hall with the slap. The slam, a little too much slash.
Yeah, that was a nice idea there. Good placement where there was an opening. And here Coach Lorenz wants to pause and talk about it. The Mustangs request their first timeout of set number 1. We'll be back from Mustang Arena with the rest of the first set in just a moment. Welcome back to Mustang Arena. Mark Barchi here with Neil Fisher. And we have about the start that we expected out of Cypress Creek. They are, as you mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Neil, a 7-1 program. So a formidable force in Central Florida volleyball. And Wekiva is having a better year, but is not yet really counted among those elite teams in Central Florida. So if they can put up a strong showing here, it would really make a name for them in terms of reputation. But so far, Cypress Creek opening 7-2, and they're going to make it 8-2 right there with a Bears kill by Bianca Jarena.
Yeah, Wekiva 1-6, looking to break a 6-game losing streak. So the last point before that break, Abiana Hall hit the ball too hard. It was about an inch out of bounds on the back line. And I think that's really a good example of Wekiva showing much more improvement. Hall certainly would not have been able to put that ball anywhere close, but still only a year and a half of experience at the senior level. Got to learn, got to develop a little bit more touch.
Skobalova with an ace as Emily Harris waited about a half a second too late to take a step back there.
Skopalova puts the ball back into play and score another ace. Boy, she sliced that ball in the air. Nice slice, nice spin.
Back-to-back aces for Skobalova. That's her third overall for the set. That time targeting Jenna Japak.
Skopalova with the jump set.
Well, that's a much softer touch. That's the same idea as a tip kill, except from behind the service stripe, and she gets another ace there.
3 in a row now for Skopalova.
An interesting decision there. I'm going to assume she did that on purpose. Really, it's almost like a change-up pitch.
And now that streak of aces comes to an end, and quite frankly, Wekiva needed that break.
Service back to the Mustangs, checking into the game for Cypress Creek, number 5. Janae Malabranch. Next to serve for the Mustangs, Emily Harris. So Emily Harris has been libero before. She spent most of last season as the team's starting libero. This season, she gets an ace right there. This season, she has mostly been playing a defensive specialist in setter position, and Jenna Japak has been the libero. But since Molly Durfus is no longer playing for Varsity, they've done some rotation. As we get a Bears kill by Bianca Jarena. It's her second tonight. Service back to the Bears, and Jarena also has the next service for Cypress Creek.
Yeah, and just to conclude, Harris, she was the player of the match against Lake Buena Vista on September 2nd. And now Wekiva needing to get some points. It's Garcia, and that is...
Yeah, Japak kind of put it into no man's land there. There was no coverage, and Calvo Garcia didn't realize that that Juliet Rodriguez was just not going to get back there in time.
So Garina, again, goes to that right sideline. Garcia
real hard service there, and Japak barely manages to handle it.
The Japak line drives it over to Cypress Creek, saved by Jackson.
Here comes Japak again, and a little bit late on the strike. A lot of power there.
Yeah, the timing between the jump and the hit, she was actually coming down when she hit the ball.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that, you know, you and I, Neil, can sit here on the sideline and critique it all day, but that's a really hard thing to do, to time the apex of your jump to find the volleyball at just the right altitude over the net. And here, Calvo Garcia loses the battle at the net. I couldn't tell that was either Williams or Lopez that was there on the other side.
14-4. Cypress Creek bolting out to that lead. Japak saves it at the back line, hit over to Cypress Creek. The set and the slam by Lopez. Slice and dice, found that open hole in the back row.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. A net violation was called there against Juliet Rodriguez, which is actually too bad for Jasmine Lopez because it deprives her of a kill on the stats. But because that certainly would have been one no matter what.
So Garina continues on the serve. High serve, and Jackson indecision. Looked like she didn't know she should set or she should hit.
Jarena on the ace, and we'll pause for a timeout. The Mustangs request their second timeout of set number 1. We'll be back with the conclusion of the first set here in the varsity match from Mustang Arena right after a quick break. Welcome back to Mustang Arena. Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, joined by Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief, where Cypress Creek is performing as advertised. They come into this with a 7-1 record, and they have demonstrated so far exactly why they have a nearly perfect record for this 2021 volleyball season. They are expected to go far in the postseason tournament. Checking into the game for Cypress Creek, number 11, Gabriela Romero. And continuing behind the service arc, or with the service stripe here, is Bianca Gerena, who has had quite a bit of success on this service rotation.
Yeah,
Dania Jackson goes wide left, and that attack error will result in a free point to the Cypress Creek cause.
Yeah, 7 points now scored with Gerena on the serve. She'll hit the ball again, a low line drive, just got over the net, and certainly could see the...
Gerena with an ace. Yeah, that was one of those, you wish you could do that on purpose. That was very precise, just grazing the top of the net.
Yeah, and that threw Jackson's, not concentration, but her line of sight was thrown off. Jackson now sets the second set by Garcia. J-Pack, and much needed point for Wekiva.
Jenna J-Pack with the Mustangs kill, her first tonight. Service back to Wekiva. Checking into the game for the Mustangs, number 14, Cassidy Palmer. And for the Bears, number 20, Candela Iriarte. So yeah, that's one of those, and I've said this before, Neil, that there's a difference between earning free points that the other team donates to you and earning your own with kills and aces. And that's a real shot in the arm to Wekiva there to get a little bit of momentum going their way. You get a soft touch on the tip attempt there from Romero, but Wekiva's not buying it. Rodriguez tries her own attack coming the other direction.
Cypress Creek goes up top and dumps the ball just inside the baseline.
Candela Iriarte on her first service in the game picks up the kill. Side out to Cypress Creek. Next in the rotation for the Bears will be number 8, Charlie Williams.
So Williams, the outside hitter, number 4 setter. And she puts that ball into play. J-Peck for Wekiva, the set. Oh, the tip. Nice save by Wekiva, the dig, but too many saves. Nobody was on that left side, the right sideline. 20-5, Cypress Creek.
Yeah, and that's where Wekiva's doing a lot better with that this year, but still has a little room to improve, where all 6 players have got to keep playing for the entire service and do not become spectators at any point. And that's what happened there was some interesting stuff going on away from their position. They became spectators, and then the ball went somewhere unexpected, and they were not able to prepare for it. And another miscommunication there. Started off between Colville Garcia and Palmer, and then Rodriguez tries to get in there to pick up the pieces, and just a half a step behind where she needed to be. So now Cypress Creek extends their run, and they need to score just 4 more points in order to take the first set. There's a little assist to the Mustangs as the service error goes wide left by just a shade. Service back to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation for Wekiva, number 4, Jenna J-Pack.
J-Pack, the outside hitter, moving into that position today. 124 aces on the season.
Yeah, that one, I think that was Iriarte who put a whole foot over the line. Were it not for the roof on the gym, you could have seen that from a satellite. So referees have no problem calling that one. Mustangs get a free point here.
And Cypress Creek will look to get it back, and they do that with Williams.
Charlie Williams on the Bears kill. Service back to Cypress Creek. Next in the rotation for the Bears, number 11, Gabriela Romero.
A surging return shot by Williams, 22-7. So Romero now serving. And she gets it over the net. J-Pack with the dig. Rodriguez for Wekiva, the set for Cypress Creek, over. Nothing hard, a free set. Jackson with the hit. And unfortunately, she also hit the net. 23-7 now, Cypress Creek. So the junior varsity team took the first, won their match, 2-0 Cypress Creek junior varsity, as the ball's put into play by Ramiro.
Good looking attack there from Jackson. Bears are able to dig out of it though.
And the junior varsity won 2-0 with a very systematic, very efficient, constantly moving victory. And we're seeing the same thing from the varsity here, as the score is now 23-8.
Malabranche with the attack error there, going past the end line. Service back to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation for Wekiva, number 10, Juliet Rodriguez.
So Rodriguez with 4 digs, 37 serve-receive attempts. That's JPEC over to Garcia, the setter. Jackson again, and score the point.
Donaya Jackson on the Mustangs kill. She is one of the most reliable offensive players for Wekiva. You saw she had a couple of really good-looking attacks on the previous service.
Yeah, Jackson came into tonight's game with 34 kills, 48 percentage. And so the set by Garcia. Hall this time.
And Hall.
Hall pounding the point home. Got that ball in the perfect location right at the waist and had a nice spin on it. So Rodriguez back to work. 5'6" senior. And she gets that ball in a good location. Nicely handled by Cypress Creek. Hit over by Garcia. Now Wekiva will take his turn with Jackson.
Beautiful work at the net there by Iriarte. And equally beautiful work for the Mustangs, managing to save that one. And then an attack error by Iriarte will put another point on the board for Wekiva. So, I mean, Wekiva has a very tall order ahead of them. They would need to score 14 points before Cypress Creek scores 2. But you've got to believe that even if Wekiva does not come out of this set with the win, they've got to be proud about battling back. Kill for the Bears by number 32, Bianca Jarena. Set point, Cypress Creek. Next in the rotation for the Bears, number 20, Candela Iriarte.
So Iriarte with her first serve. Puts it up over the net. And a mistake by Wekiva. They hit it a little too hard, and Garina makes some pay, slams the ball home.
That takes us to the end of set number 1. 25-11 is the final score of the first set, and the Bears take a 1-0 lead for the match over the Mustangs. Thanks again for joining us here at Mustang Arena. We'll be back with set number 2 right after the break.
High school varsity volleyball continues from Mustang Arena, home of Wekiva. Cypress Creek, the visiting team, but they certainly have not been very gracious as the visitors, taking the first set 25-11.
Yeah, although you have to like what you saw at the end of that first set from Wekiva, where it looked like it was just going to be a complete blowout, and then Wekiva finally kind of woke up in the last few services of that set and gave us some hope that the second set may be more competitive.
Yeah, Wekiva scored 5 of the last 6 points. So once again, Cypress Creek comes in 7-1.
The Bears have the opening service of the second set, leading their rotation once again, number 9, Sarah Garcia.
Cypress Creek winning its first 7 games. They lost to Windermere Prep in their last outing. Wekiva 1-6, looking to break a 6-game losing streak. I opened the season with a 3-2 come-from-behind victory against Evans and have played well, much improved, but still looking for those couple extra points, which would give them that victory. And Cypress Creek breaks out 1-0 in set 2.
Yeah, that was in my blind spot, but I think it was Charlie Williams who had that kill.
So Cypress Creek remains with the same serving lineup as game 1. That's Palmer. That's Hall. Tips it over. Set. The slam and the drop by Garina. 2-0 Cypress Creek.
Bianca Garina picks up her 5th kill of the match, her first of this set.
And this is Sarah Garcia now serving for Cypress Creek, the number 1 setter, followed by Skopalova, Garina, Williams, Ayala, and Lopez. The same serving lineup as game 1, which took Cypress Creek to a 25-11 victory.
Garcia with the ace, checking into the game for the Mustangs, number 2, Maddie Holmes.
And that's Garcia's second ace of the match, her first of set 2. 3-0 Cypress Creek, the jump serve. Palmer again at the back row. Jackson hits it over.
Yeah, Culver Garcia took so long to get there to the set, she wasn't able to get enough altitude on it. Wekiva settles for a free ball.
And the refs, I believe they signaled
reservice is called for.
So a confluence of players on each side, 3 from each side.
Yeah, I think it was an early whistle. I think that's what happened, was that the play was whistled dead before it had actually touched the ground from either side, and so that calls for a replay. And it doesn't work out for Wekiva in that case, though, as Sarah Garcia picks up her second ace of the set.
So 4-0, Cypress Creek taking the first 4 points of set 2. They already lead 1-0. Palmer.
And miscommunication there. So there's where you have to plan this kind of stuff out in advance, because Eliza Calvo Garcia is the designated setter, so she's going to chase down the ball wherever it goes. However, in that case, it went straight to Madeline Holmes. And so Maddie Holmes is like, well, it's going to exactly where I am. I'm going to set it because that's where the ball's going. Calvo Garcia is like, no, I'm the setter. I'm going to set the ball from wherever it goes. And the two of them crash into each other.
And that was Hall with the slash and dash return, finding that back left corner.
Abiana Hall picks up the Mustangs kill. Side out to Wekiva for the first time of the second set. Returning to the game for the Mustangs, number 0, Chastity Rosario. Next to serve, number 8, Eliza Calvo Garcia.
So Garcia, the number 1 setter for Wekiva, as Mark mentioned, their first serve. Jackson, number 2, number 7, Abiana Hall.
Kill for the Bears by number 2, Natalie Skopalova. Service back to Cypress Creek. And Skopalova will also have the next service for the Bears.
So once again, the serving lineup, I know Cypress Creek has it, but just to close out real quick, Garcia, Jackson, Hall, Rosario, Palmer, and then Rodriguez. And in the meantime, the battle on the court continues.
The Mustangs request their first timeout of set number 2. Trailing 1-7, Wekiva needs to come up with some answers here in the second set. We'll be back in just a moment.
We invite you to join the Mustangs throughout the rest of their season. Their next game is going to be at Apopka. That's coming up in just 2 days, September 23rd, this Thursday, 6 o'clock and 7:30. Tickets on sale on GoFan. The Mustangs are at the Bulldog Invitational at St. Cloud this weekend. Then they are at Ocoee on September 28th. Your next chance to catch them at home is not until the end of the month, September 30th. The Mustangs will host the Jones Tigers at 6 and 7:30, and those games will be carried live on YouTube and the NFHS network.
7-1 is the score. Cypress Creek with that lead. They also won the first set, 25-11. We are playing live from Mustang Arena, home of Wekiva. And so far, it's been a tough go for Wekiva. They are playing a team that's 7-1. They have shown a couple of spurts of what they are capable of, but for the most part, Cypress Creek with a systematic building of that lead.
And so that attack there from Charlie Williams doesn't really matter whether that was in or not, because the Mustangs are called into the net. And that's a call you hate to see because it really didn't affect the play. I mean, we talk about this with penalties in football too, Neil, that you talk about dead ball fouls versus live ball fouls.
Right.
That, if you had to hold in order to make the play, well, that's just part of the game. But when you do something dumb between plays,
and
get penalized for it.
To use the old cliche, those are the penalties which turn a coach's hair gray. In the meantime, Cypress Creek score the point, the slash and dash from Ayala into the back right corner.
Alina Ayala on the kill for the Bears, her first tonight.
And that gives Cypress Creek a 9-1 advantage as Wekiva looked like they kind of had something going there at the end of the first set, but they cooled off quickly in that 3-minute break that we had between the first and second set, and Cypress Creek on fire once again. And this is going to be an ace.
Natalie Skopolova picks up ace number 6 of this match.
Yeah, the pounding liner, 10-1 now. Also, remember, Wekiva, although they do have 9 starters returning, and certainly you can see that in their play.
Maddie Holmes into the game for the Mustangs.
So actually, I want to cut you off there, Neil, real quick. Maddie Holmes, you'll notice, is no longer dressed, or excuse me, Emily Harris is what I meant to say, is no longer dressed as libero. She is now switched with Jenna J-Pack.
Yeah, Jenna J-Pack is moved into the outside hitter. Emily Harris is now... Jenna J-Pack is now the libero, and Emily Harris is the outside hitter.
Skovalova with the kill.
So what I started to say, Mark, a couple of points ago, Wekiva does have 10 seniors, 9 returning players. Their losses have been much closer. They've had 3 that have gone to 5 sets. Last year they only had 2 losses, which went more than 3. But with that said, they're still only a team made up of about a year and a third of varsity experience, and I think you're seeing both sides of that coin tonight.
Yeah, Emily Harris there had the right idea. She just had it a second too late.
So, and now I see Coach Lorenz giving some instructions to Garcia, who is moved into the starting lineup as the setter and #1 server, and probably a little too much height on that serve from Skopolova. Wekiva will take the point.
Service back to the Mustangs. Checking into the game for Wekiva, number 14, Cassidy Palmer. Next in the rotation, number 5, Zanaya Jackson.
Only the second time Wekiva has served in this set. We are 15 points in. Jackson goes to work. Set at the net by Garcia. And another break for Wekiva.
Yeah, that was one of those
Ayala.
that was Alina Ayala trying to set there was trying to tip it over the net.
Yeah, she was actually spinning, just one of those plays where she had to spin from front to back, and it looked like she got somewhat disoriented too.
That's a much better look this time. Wekiva settles for a free ball, and they're going to win on it. And just a miscue there from Charlie Williams, and
well, that was a return from Wekiva, which was pretty much in no man's land. I saw Palmer, Wekiva's defensive specialist, outside hitter, not really sure if it's going to go over.
Yeah, you saw the look on Williams' face the moment she realized she'd tapped that ball just a moment too late. But boy, she redeems herself right there as Charlie Williams comes up with the Bears' kill. Service returns to Cypress Creek, and next in their rotation, number 25, Alexis Perlinsky. So nice redemption there for Charlie Williams. Beautiful attack.
Set.
Here comes Cassidy Palmer.
At the net.
Looking
Jackson
for that dead space in the middle of the court and not finding
Palmer, just a half an inch out. Unfortunately, to use the old cliche, the points all count the same. Cypress Creek gains the same amount of points, whether that ball's 6 feet out or 6 inches. J-Peck has to hit it over.
Yep, free ball settled for by the Mustangs there.
Garcia setting. Bad set.
Yep,
See what Wekiva can take advantage.
Yeah, Williams able to recover that one, though, and
Garcia
Hall not
again.
able to find any dead zone there. Another soft touch coming in from Williams.
Jackson has to hit it over. And the slap, that was Lopez, and
out.
It was out.
Service back to the Mustangs, serving as libero for Wekiva, number 4, Jenna J-Pack.
So J-Peck with 24 aces.
Not
but
one there,
she will
though.
not be able to get any magic this time.
Service back to the Bears, checking into the game for Cypress Creek, number 7, Crystalise Peral. And she will have the next service. But first, also coming in, number 11, Gabriela Romero.
So Cypress Creek coming into this game 7-1. Ranked among the top, ranked in the state in every major poll. And Palmer this time too much mustard.
And that goes just past the end line. So she's had a couple in a row now that have been almost brilliant, but then just over the line. And to your point, Neil, Cypress Creek is a program with a reputation and the numbers to back it up. Free ball coming back over here, and short work of that. That's Jasmine Lopez on the Bears' kill.
Yeah, they are currently ranked 96, and that's actually all classes. Remember, there's 8 classes in the entire state of Florida, and they're ranked 25th in Class 7A. And
Palmer on the serve receive.
And those rankings do not include their last 2 games.
And there's just an unforced error. Miscommunication there. Juliet Rodriguez thought somebody else had it, looked behind her too late and realized there was nobody there and couldn't get back to it.
And Wekiva has had only 3 serves in this set, just to give you an idea of how dominating this performance has been by Cypress Creek.
Rosario has rough placement on the set, has to settle for a free ball coming back. And it gets stranded on Cypress Creek's side of the net. And so Cypress Creek proves that while they may not suffer from it as often as Wekiva does, that they are not completely invulnerable to their own communication problems. Maddie Holmes returns to the game to serve for the Mustangs.
So Maddie Holmes, number 2, the middle blocker, senior, 5'7". And Cypress Creek back to work. And too much oomph. Nice line drive, but
that's Alina Ayala on the attack there. Plenty of power, just didn't quite have the angle under control.
So Wekiva with 2 points in a row for the first time in this game. And now Holmes returns the favor, as you like to say, Mark.
Service back to the Bears. Next in the rotation for Cypress Creek, number 10, Alina Ayala.
Contributes to the Cypress Creek cause, as you like to say, Mark. Jackson.
Rodriguez with a nice looking attack there, but it is just a far left of the sideline. So between Jackson and Palmer, the Mustangs would like to buy back about 6 inches.
Yeah, they've had about half a dozen returns where they'd like to say that. And this
no
is
man's
not one
land.
of those, though.
Yeah. Jackson sends it into no man's land, and there's nothing Calva Garcia could have done with that.
22-7, Cypress Creek has led from the beginning. They scored the first 5 points. They took set 1, 25-11. They scored the first 6 points of that set. And ball put into play by Ayala. Now Cypress Creek will look to score on the return. Nice set. Wekiva answers.
Here comes Rodriguez looking for a tip, but was too close to the net. She was going to have to get there sooner and higher if she was going to be able to do anything with that.
So that ups the lead to 23-7. As Ayala serves again. Jackson unable to set anybody, and now we are at set point and on the verge of Wekiva falling behind 2-0.
Alina Ayala on the ace, her second. Set point, Bears.
Ayala with the high serve. Jackson, once again. Garcia set. Palmer hits it over.
Settles for the free ball there.
The slap, the slash and dash. Was it in? Yes. Credit
Natalie
to point.
Skopalova has the last word of set number 2 with her third kill of the night. 25-7 is the final score of the second set, and the Bears take a 2-0 lead for the match over the Mustangs. Well, Neil, you know, I always come into the game at this point in the season having memorized the entire home roster, and by the time we get to the end of the second set, I've started to memorize some of the visitor roster, and Skopalova is one of those names that I do not have to look down at my card anymore. I know exactly who number 2 is, and so does Wekiva. So we'll come back in about 2.5 minutes, and we'll take you through the third set here at Mustang Arena.
Set 3 about to begin. The Wekiva Mustangs, unfortunately, facing a 2-0 deficit against the Cypress Creek Bears, ranked number 25 by the Max Prep rankings in the Class 7A state of Florida.
And Cypress Creek proving why. They've got the results to back that up here tonight. 7 aces, 3 kills for Natalie Skopalova through just 2 sets. Coming in right behind her, 5 kills and 2 aces for Bianca Jarena. That's number 32 on your screen. And between the two of them, they've really led the offense. But the Mustangs have the opening service of set number 3, leading their rotation once again, Eliza Calvo-Garcia.
And she will be following the serving rotation by Denia Jackson, Abiana Hall, Chastity Rosario, Juliet Rodriguez, and Emily Harris.
Hall with a beautiful block attempt at the net there, but Skopalova picks up the first kill of the 3rd set. That's her 4th overall. Service to the Bears for the first time of the 3rd set, and leading their rotation this time is number 7, Crystalise Peral.
And Cypress Creek has scored the first 5 points, at least the first 5 points of both of the first 2 sets. And they're going to go up 2-0.
Yeah, that was Rosario hit it into the antenna. You see some personnel changes on the Bears side. You have Crystalise Peral there, who was the libero for the first 2 sets, is now wearing a standard maroon jersey. So she is no longer the libero.
She's also the number 1 server.
Right, and yeah, that's also a change. Sarah Garcia had been the leadoff server for Cypress Creek for the first 2 sets. Coming in instead as libero is number 5, Janae Malabranch, who was a bench player who saw a little bit of action in the first 2 sets. And now Peral serves it a little bit too hard past the end line. Service to the Mustangs for the second time of the 3rd set. Next in the rotation, number 5, Denia Jackson.
So Denia Jackson, the outside hitter. 34 kills coming into today's game, 48%.
And Wekiva gets a donation there from Cypress Creek. A little miscommunication in the middle. So again, Cypress Creek proves that while they are very good, they are not invincible.
This 92% serve percentage for Jackson as well.
Beautiful work there by Abiana Hall. She's not able to get the kill, but she is able to disorient the Bears enough that they make a mistake coming back. And so nice work there by Hall to keep the service alive for Wekiva.
Jackson was also the player of the match, last match against Horizon. Stuffed by Hall. And Wekiva goes into the lead for the first time tonight.
Abiana Hall picks up the block for the Mustangs. And yeah, Neil, that's got to give Wekiva a little bit of confidence.
That's the 15th block on the season for Hall. She by far is the leading blocker on Wekiva.
Well, and it's not hard to imagine why. At 5'8", she is the tallest on the court for Wekiva's side.
Jackson with the serve again, looking for her 4th consecutive point. Success, and Wekiva with a 5-3 lead.
Yeah, that was Ayala about a step behind there. Now, keep in mind there are some personnel changes on the Cypress Creek side. This is not their starting lineup. They are letting some of their bench players who don't get quite as much playing time get some minutes here. And now Wekiva gets called into the net. I think that was Abiana Hall who got called for touching it. So that's too bad. That's a momentum killer for the Mustangs as service returns to the Bears as Wekiva is called into the net. Next in the rotation for Cypress Creek will be number 2, Natalie Skopalova. So keep in mind that Skopalova is the leading server for the Bears. She has 7 aces in the first 2 sets.
Yeah, she'll be followed by Ariat, Williams, Ayala, and Lopez on the serve.
So that was, like I said, Neil, I mentioned this earlier, you can compare that in baseball to a changeup pitch. All of a sudden, the speed slows way down. You're expecting it to go way to the back row, and it doesn't. This one does go way to the back row, and the fastball strikes home. Ace number 9 for Skopalova.
Yeah, Skopalova putting together a clinic on serving.
Yeah, and just demonstrate, because you're lucky if you get 2 or 3 girls on a volleyball team that can really master one serve. And Skopalova has demonstrated, as she now is in the double digits for aces, Skopolova has demonstrated that she has mastery of a couple of different service styles.
As she's gone now 4 straight times to Cassidy Palmer in that back right corner. And Cypress Creek is now ahead once again, 7-5, 4 straight points.
That time she goes to Jackson and picks up another ace. That was a little bit luck and a lot of skill as Jackson punches it right into the backboard of the basketball net.
Consecutive points up to 5 now. J-Peck, Garcia set, Hall, tip, over the net. Cypress Creek will try to score the point, and they will. The slash and dash from Williams, dropping that ball, a low liner, 9-5 Cypress Creek.
Charlie Williams picks up her 4th kill of the match.
And 6 consecutive points for the Bears. Skopolova with the jump serve again. Hard to handle. Jackson does keep it in. J-Peck will send it over. And the pound and ground attack from Lopez.
Charlie Williams picks up the kill. Yeah, so that was one that, the world will never know whether that would have stayed in bounds on its own or not, but it grazed the Mustangs on its way out, and so Skopolova lives to serve another day. That one is much lower than her previous serves have been, and Jenna J-Pack sends it into pinball mode up in the rafters. And that's now going to be ace number 12.
Yeah, and 8 consecutive points for the Bears with Skopolova on serve. The Skopolova was picking on Palmer at the beginning of this series of serves. Now she's picking on J-Peck. This time it's Jackson.
Rosario tries to go for the dump. Skopolova is more than ready for that. J-Peck heads up move, but just can't get it to land in bounds.
Yeah, J-Peck had to hit that while doing a 360.
The Mustangs request their first timeout of set number 3. And we'll take it with them, and we'll see just how far Skopolova can extend her streak when we come back.
And welcome back to Mustang Arena, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. Thank you for joining us on a Tuesday night for high school varsity volleyball. Unfortunately, Wekiva has not been able to break the juggernaut known as the Cypress Creek Bears. They are down 2-0, 12-5 in the 3rd set. That's Skopolova on the serve.
Yeah, that was a tough set into no man's land, and Abiana Hall had no choice but to chase it into the net.
And now the streak is 10 in a row for Cypress Creek. Streak of points 10 in a row, and all 10 of those points have been scored with Skopolova on serve.
And I haven't been counting, but I think of those 10, probably 6 or 7 of them have been aces, and only a few of them have been returned.
But the streak does come to an end. A little too much mustard on the return, and so lead is now 13-6.
Service back to the Mustangs.
Again, Cypress Creek comes in 7-1, ranked 25th in the Max Prep ranking for Class 7A.
Serving as libero for Wekiva, number 4, Jenna J-Pack.
And that's the entire state of Florida, so certainly they probably for them, not really much to gain in terms of the rankings, but a loss would be devastating. Wekiva, on the other hand, is trying to break a 6-game losing streak.
Service back to the Bears. Next in the rotation for Cypress Creek, number 20, Candela Iriarte. And that was, I don't know if there's any such thing as a free ball kill, but if there is, that was one of them. As Iriarte lobbed it over, and Wekiva managed to watch it land. This is going to be a reserve, as Iriarte did not wait for the whistle.
You have to wait for the whistle.
I believe one of the players was, I think, dusting off her shoes or something, and the referee was waiting for that.
Yes, the referees want the players to realize that they're still in charge.
Service back to the Mustangs. Next in the rotation for Wekiva, number 0, Chastity Rosario.
And so Rosario will take the serve. She has 5 aces on the year. Only had 10 attempts at serving coming into this game.
Skobalova with a rare miscue there. Gets away with it, though, as she jumps on top of the libero, Mellebranch. Wekiva, though, lets them get away with it as the attack arrow is out of bounds. Maddie Holmes is back into the game for the Mustangs. And on the Bears side, Gabriela Romero checks in, as well as number 9, Sarah Garcia. And she will have the next service.
So you hear Mark, Bears making some changes in their lineup.
Yeah, Garcia was the leading server for the first 2 sets, so now she enters the rotation.
And she has a jump serve. That's effective. JPEG has to hit the ground. And you see the end result as Harris slaps the ball into the net. Wekiva never really able to get into rotation and comfortable. 16-7 now, the lead for Cypress Creek. They're up 2-0. And Garcia catches a break, ball hits the net. Wekiva plays on, and Rodriguez, boy, she
got a little under that. And she struck that ball on the bottom side of it, and that gave it a lot more lift than she was expecting. Right amount of power, but it needed to have a much lower angle on it. And here, Wekiva gets a freebie as Sarah Garcia sends it into the net. Service back to Wekiva. Next in the rotation, well, checking into the game to serve next for the Mustangs, number 14, Cassidy Palmer.
So Palmer will take the serve. She has 5 aces, 46 service attempts, 90% efficiency coming into this match.
Nice look there from Skobalova. Palmer is able to get under it, but has no choice but to send it into no man's land, and then there's nothing that Jackson could do with it from there.
So a quick look at Cypress Creek's schedule after tonight. Barring what would be a miraculous comeback, kind of up there with the 10 Commandments in terms of from where they started. They will be 8-1. Their next game is Lake Buena Vista. That's Thursday. Next week they play Gateway. That's Tuesday, the following Tuesday against Oak Ridge. And then Ocoee and East River and Edgewater, 4 consecutive games.
Alina Ayala picks up the kill for the Bears. She will also have the next service. So looking at earned points, you have 19 on the board for Cypress Creek in this third set, and that make it 20 with the ace. And so that's her third ace, so now you have 70 total points for Cypress Creek. They have 19 aces and 23 kills. That's 42 earned points. Ellie Harris picks up the side out for the Mustangs, and she will also have the next service for Wekiva.
So Harris with 9 aces coming into this game and an 86% service rate. And
Skobalova on the kill. That's her 6th kill of the match. Next in the rotation for Cypress Creek, number 18, Jasmine Lopez.
So 21-9. Cypress Creek looking to close out this victory in 3 sets. And they inch a little bit closer now, 22-9. So
Lopez with the ace.
So Cypress Creek will up their record to 8-1 and maintain their rankings in the state, at least according to Max Preps. Wekiva's going to drop to 1-7. However, Wekiva does have 9 points. I do believe this is probably, at least in terms of the score, their best performance of the 3 sets. As Holmes sets up, and now the ball will be hit back over by Yarate.
And that's a free ball that they had to settle for there. So Wekiva winning
Skopalova.
the mental game for just a moment there.
Garcia sets, hit over, free ball for Cypress Creek. They set, hit over by Romero. J-Peck to Garcia.
Hall tries for the softer touch, but the Bears are able to get under it. And now an off-speed attack the timing is just all wrong for Alina Ayala there. Service back to the Mustangs. Checking into the game for Wekiva, number 0, Chastity Rosario. Next to serve, the Mustangs return to the top of their rotation with number 8, Eliza Calva Garcia. So I'll point out here that this is only the second pass through the rotation.
Yeah. Garcia, as you mentioned, is at the top. She's actually a student at Orlando Science High. They don't have a volleyball team. And save at the net. No, it's not a save. It's a net violation. Ayala with the effort. Unfortunately, she could not get her body wound up.
Yeah, well, I mean,
as
in fairness,
Waltrip would like to say.
Yeah, that was a tough play for her off of the attack attempt there from Skopalova. Skopalova doing very little wrong tonight. That was one of the few things she's tried that wasn't immediately successful. And then we have a tip kill by Candela Iriarte, and that will bring up match point for the Bears. Next in the rotation for Cypress Creek, number 11, Gabriela Romero. So Romero does not have any aces or kills in the books tonight, but she has an opportunity to have the last word here.
Yeah, looking to close out this victory in 3 sets. And Garcia will set. Palmer just gets it over. Free ball for Cypress Creek. The slap by Skopalova. It might just do it. And yes, it will. Out of rotation for Wekiva.
Skopalova gets the last word of the 3rd set, and it takes us to a 25-11 victory for the Bears in set number 3, and they will take the match 3-9. We'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight to support your Mustang and Cypress Creek athletes. If you're here in the arena, thanks for joining us. If you are watching online on YouTube or the NFHS network, we hope that you will subscribe before you go tonight, but thank you for tuning in on Wekiva TV Broadcast Network. We do want to invite you to join the Mustangs on the road. They're going to be at Apopka September 23rd on Thursday. They'll be at St. Cloud for the Bulldogs Invitational Friday the 25th and over the weekend. And then they are at Ocoee on September 28th. Your next chance to catch them at home is coming up September 30th, 6 o'clock and 7:30. They will host the Jones Tigers. That will be live on Mustang TV on YouTube and the NFHS network as well. My thanks to Keith Dickerson, the broadcast director of Wekiva TV. For Neil Fisher, my name is Mark Varchi, voice of the Mustangs, sports information director here at Wekiva High School. Thanking you for tuning in and wishing you a good night. This has been a presentation of Wekiva High School Athletics in association with Orange Technical College, both a proud part of Orange County Public Schools. Good night from Mustang Arena. We will see you on September 30th for the Jones game, and then the very next day for homecoming.